a metric of what's the guy's IQ is not enough for me. First of all, he did not give you. I'll tell you why. Because it's what do you do with your intelligence? You think he gave you an accurate recitation of Russian history starting in the 8th century because Candace just said so. She's wrong and you're wrong, okay? He did not give you an accurate recitation. He gave you a KGB doctored look at why.
Okay, this weirdo is weird for even nodding. I'm not shocked that he's saying this, but this weirdo is weird for nodding. So what happened was that Candace Owens was on the PBD podcast, and they were talking about all kinds of, topics, obviously State of the Union, Putin's name's been everywhere, all of it. And Chris Cuomo was there. So Chris, obviously, you know how he gets. If you guys don't know, Chris Cuomo used to be on CNN and then he got fired. He's on some other show, news, television stuff. I don't know, on YouTube. Nobody really cares. Nobody's looking for Chris Cuomo to find out what happened to him. So he is easily triggered these days. And he says, so he's talking about the interview that Tucker Carlson did with Vladimir Putin. And he's saying, oh, he's not smart. Vladimir Putin went on a dissertation of Russian history. And he's saying, oh, he's not smart. He's just telling you a KGB version. Like, we really need to stop using these words. People use words like that. Like, they'll say KGB, or like it. The man was just giving Russian history. Calm down.
It's okay that he wants to reestablish the Soviet Union. That's what he gave.
Oh, stop it.
Listen,
Stop
I'm not here
it.
to play Russia good, Russia bad, okay?
Russia has a smaller GDP than California. He's
so
not,
what?
So
what? They're also invading a country right now just for avarice.
Americans are economically so unintelligible that they are going to believe
what I'm
that
saying
the threat
is,
that we are facing today is Russia trying to reestablish. So this is like Cold War propaganda. We got to move on from that, okay?
But it's just as real now as it was
the 1960s.
then.
Let me explain something to you guys, okay? So the thing is, she's right, okay? They always, the establishment, the neocons, they always put us on in this position where we are fearing something from the same thing for like 80 years, 60 years. Any minute now, the Soviet Union is going to pop up. Any minute now, Hamas is going to be at the southern border. 9/11 again. They keep you on a ticker tape of fear, without telling you, first of all, the full story about anything. And really, answer me this. Drop a comment below. Let me know. Is Russia starting the Soviet Union again your first priority, your first threat? Like, do you think about that when you wake up in the morning before you go to work or whatever? Do you think about that? Let me know. Maybe you do. Maybe, just let me know. I would think that the average American citizen is thinking about making sure that their family is okay, getting food on the table, and et cetera, et cetera.
And remember, in America, these people are allowed to be here right now doing things they could never do in Russia.
I don't know why he pointed out. What is happening here? Wow. Okay.
Never. Nobody can speak out against Putin. He is at over 75% in popularity polls because people know what happens if you answer differently. They make no money. They have no press freedoms. When they try to exercise themselves, even on the internet,
starting to sound like chased. America today. January 6ers are locked up.
She's absolutely right. I mean, are we seriously still doing this thing like they want us because of our democracy? Because, come on, let's face it. Like she was going to say, the J6ers are still in jail. There's just a lot going on in this country. There are people who can't even be on the internet simply because they're stating certain facts, right? So I don't know what this thing is. Like, why do I care? Even if that was true, why do I care? I'm over here. What Vladimir Putin does with his country would be it's what he does with his country. Why do I care? I'm over here. And I still don't think it's all of what he said. How does he know? He called Putin. He told him what he's doing. And these people are funny.
That is something.
You locked up grandmas for expressing their opinions.
That is something to be concerned about.
You are saying that
more than concerned about, we should be in arms of. Okay, let me be careful, right? But it's more than just something to be concerned about. It's happening. We have crossed a Rubicon, really. We have.
if you
Something to be
speak,
concerned about.
that is
Not
correct. Freedom
admired,
of press. You're
but
sitting
used
here.
as a point
They
of
wanted
fear.
to arrest Tucker Carlson for going over to speak to a leader of a country that we are allegedly not at war with.
Listen.
So you're also describing America while you are
I am
telling us.
not describing America.
Yeah,
I'm describing what America should not be. So be careful about putting up a model of what you think has some value.
Nobody said there was.
Okay, so anyway, the whole point of this heated debate was that she was simply making the point that you have a leader of one country and a leader of another country. One country's leader can recite the Russian history and off the top of their head without looking for a book. The other country's leader, sadly, sometimes thinks their son might still be alive. Apparently that was on tape before, allegedly, I heard, and just, I mean, come on, falling the whole bit, right? I'm not even making fun of it, okay? So it is very dangerous for the American people. Let's just keep that very clear. And it's not a good position to be in, especially when this is the leader of the free world. Cuomo had went on to say, well, he's just an old man. That's the problem. He shouldn't be doing this. This is some sort of elderly, bad thing here. And also, first and foremost, we, the people, this is our leader. We're in big trouble here. And these are the kind of excuses that aren't fair for the American citizen. And then she said that. She's like, it's not right. Like, people are tired of the lies. Stop lying, And later on, Patrick Bet-David made a pretty good point, too.
As a positive comparison to who we have. I mean, I don't know what I'm missing in terms of the logic.
This is how I take it,
You are missing.
Chris. This is how I take it from the outside. I take it as I want to know everybody's leader on how they are, how formidable they are,
Yes.
and can mine go up against that leader. If Putin and Biden are in a negotiation table, we're gonna lose.
Yeah,
That's all I'm thinking about. So for me, I think about somebody being able to sit up against them to say, hey, you got to knock it off with this Ukraine stuff. By the way, let's process this in a different way. We had, I don't know who I was having this conversation with. It's like, well, you know what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? I said, listen, we have 4 years of data, pure data of what happened under Trump. They can't play that same game as, aren't you afraid that he has access to the button? He's actually one of the 46 people ever who had access to the button and never.
And I don't want to cut it off. I don't. But I want you guys to really listen to what Patrick Bet-David is saying, because he's making a huge point here.
Used it and there was no wars, right? For 4 years. It was peaceful. We didn't have no Ukraine, nothing, Afghanistan, nothing going on, no Israel, Hamas, nothing going on, right? This guy's here. He's got access to everything for 3 years. What do we have going on? What we did with Afghanistan, they're wearing our uniform now. What happened with Ukraine and Russia? What happened with Israel and Hamas? According to pure data, one doesn't know how to sit across another alpha and say, check yourself, stop, you cannot behave like this again. That's purely how I process the difference between Putin and Biden. I don't sit there and look at Biden and say, man, I can't wait for this guy to go into the boardroom. He's going to crush it in the boardroom behind closed doors negotiating. I say, please don't keep it behind closed doors. I want to see exactly how he's going to be negotiated. He doesn't give you that kind of a confidence.
So if you like this clip.
And he's right. Patrick Bet-David is very right. He's right with everything he just said there. And the sad part about it is, like, they're so busy running, interference for Joe Biden that the country has lost its value. Not totally because the people, I'm not talking about the citizens, I'm talking about on the world stage. It has lost its value while people have been running cover for Joe Biden and then not telling us who's actually really running the country, because anybody with common sense and a mind knows that it is not Joe Biden. So with that said, he's making a lot of points. And instead, they want to keep running cover. Our borders are wide open. Everybody's laughing at our leader. There's wars starting everywhere because they know we aren't going to do anything about it. It's not a good look for America at all. And it doesn't need to be a virtue signaling conversation to Joe Biden or Putin. It's just simply the truth.